Okay, I'm going to try to keep this super short, but I have a question I want to ask, and then I'm going to explain some things, and then I'm going to ask a question. I would just love to hear your thoughts on it. So, I remember back in the day when we didn't have all the options of like Netflix and internet and cable, and most people, unless they were kind of rich, had cable, but you only had like a few shows you could watch. Like in the morning, if you woke up really early, you had your cartoons, and then after school specials, and then maybe some shows in the evening, like some sitcoms or something. So I remember when either the Olympics were happening, which really sucked because none of your shows were on. It was all taken up with like some ice skating nonsense that you weren't interested in. Or when there was an election year, you had to like, it was all you could listen to. All your good shows were interrupted by campaigning, and if it was an Olympics, if the Olympics were going on, then Olympics crap. So, and I was never interested in that. And so, but what I remember thinking, in my child mind, I remember thinking like, whenever one of them won the election, the Democrat or the Republican, they became best friends. And I remember thinking like, that's weird. Like they would say the most vile, I would listen to them say the most vile and ugly things about each other. They would say and do just like unforgivable things, like not normal things, like ugly things. And yet when one of them would win the election, all of a sudden they were best friends. And I specifically remember thinking this must be a grown-up thing, you know, because kids sure as shit don't do that. So, election after election throughout my life, I've watched that happen. And I just didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it after the fact. But when I started to really think about it, when it started to be suspect to me was like when President Trump ran for president. And I wasn't going to vote for him. I wanted Dr. Ben Carson, and I thought he was the better choice. But in the end, I was left between two choices. So, but what I found really odd, and here's my question for y'all. Why did both sides rail against President Trump? Because he's a womanizer. So was Clinton. Because he was racist, supposedly. Well, we all know that's not true. Like, he won awards for all he's done for the black community. He dated a black woman who said that he didn't have a racist bone in his body. Like, she never witnessed anything racist, but it's whatever. Like, the media wanted us to think he was racist. They wanted us to think he's a womanizer, more of a womanizer than President Clinton. Like, come on. But whatever. So, I guess my question is, why did both sides rail against him? And really, really think about this question, okay? Because if you are really about what is best for this country, if that is what, you know, why would you throw your support behind a woman who was the polar opposite of everything you ever stood for? If it was really about this country, really about what was best for this country, why would you throw your support behind a woman that whose political ideologies were the polar opposite of everything you ever stood for everything you ever said was what was in the best interest of this country? Because of mean tweets, because the media wants us to believe that President Trump was racist. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense, because in the grand scheme of things, who even cares? Even if President Trump was racist, he wouldn't be stupid enough to enact anything that would, anyway, if you look at his history, like, everything he did was in favor of the minorities, and so it's whatever. But I really would like some people to answer that question for me. How does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Why would the Bushes, the McCains, the Romneys, why would they throw their support behind Hillary Clinton if it's about this country? Everything that Hillary Clinton has ever done is the opposite of everything they've ever said that they stood for. So if it's about the country, and it's not about mean tweets, it's not about him being more of a womanizer than Clinton, then why? We have to ask ourselves why. What is happening what have we done? We let the media tell us who to vote for. We let the media tell us who to like, who to love, who to hate. And we let the media make us, the paid for media by our corrupt government, make us fight these battles for them. It's just craziness. It's whack. But anyways, I would love to hear it. Why you think the Bushes, the McCains, the Romneys would have thrown their support behind a very, 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 very far left candidate over someone who everything that this person pushed for and followed through on. Even CNN said that President Trump was a keeper of promises, because everything he said in his campaign, he followed through on. So, he wasn't just saying it, he actually did it. Interested in hearing what your thoughts are.